All right, welcome back to Stumblin Forward. I'm one of your hosts, Kristen Herman,
I'm Monica Ortega.
and today we're here with Bardo. Bardo is actually fluent in Spanish and Portuguese. Bardo spent much of his childhood living abroad in Italy, Spain, and Japan. His global lens allows him to not only rap and sing in multiple languages, but also draw inspiration from places outside the US. Bardo hopes that his Chicago-bred groovy sound, which has been compared to Outkast and NERD, can help knock down the barriers and ignorance that exists between different people and places simply by providing contact and a common groove. All right, welcome to the show, Bardo. How are you doing today?
Man, thank you. I'm doing great. You killed that intro. I
Oh
appreciate
my
it.
gosh, thank you.
I'm
It's
so intimidated already by that.
No, don't be.
The
Don't be
intro
at
is
all.
too much. I knew about the Spanish. I had no idea about the Portuguese. Where the heck did that come from? I'm just gonna start with that.
Sure. Yeah, the Portuguese. So my mom's family, my mom's family is from Cape Verde, which is like a group of islands off of Africa. It's part of Africa, but it's kind of it's off the west coast of Africa, and it was colonized by the Portuguese for a while, so they speak Portuguese. I didn't learn it there. I just knew, I knew that there was that connection. And then kind of in high school, I think mainly in high school, I started getting into kind of Brazil and Brazilian culture a little bit because I was always in the Latin American culture. And then, I was studying Spanish in school and college, and the head of the Portuguese program came into one of my Spanish classes and was like, "Hey, you guys know Spanish. You guys should definitely take Portuguese." She was like really trying to grow the program, and she was, very typical. I would say like a very typical Brazilian, just very like high energy,
Energetic.
yeah, super energetic, super cool, and so I was like, "Oh man, yeah, she's making this sound super easy," and it wasn't, but it was fun. And and it was dope. So I went
You're like, thanks for the energy. Now I failed my class.
Exactly. Yeah, it was like 2 weeks in because I was in there with a couple of my friends who were native Spanish speakers, and they were struggling just like me because we were like, oh, okay, well, if you mess up, you could just say whatever. You say whatever you would say in Spanish, but just say it with a Brazilian accent. But that didn't actually work. And she would always be like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Like, what is that? And so like 2-3 weeks in, I was just like, wow, okay, I got to take this seriously. But once I did that, I fell in love with it, fell in love with the culture. And I was lucky enough to be able to go there in 2015 and spend a little bit of time there and just really get it better. I don't speak it as much anymore. So I'm itching to go back, but yeah, it's definitely a love of mine for sure.
That's amazing.
Cool. That's like when I went to Italy and I was like, it's fine. I know some Spanish. No,
they're not the same. Nothing alike.
It's like they're like cousins, but they're estranged. It's like you think. I mean, there's definitely similarities, and I'll say learning Spanish and knowing like the basics of like the Romance structure in terms of like, not to get all super nerdy with it, but like how the verbs conjugate and all that stuff, it definitely helps. But like you can't just use that either. You gotta kind of build on top of that. So
I give people with
helped with your music stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think is one of the things that like if I'm ever struggling from like a writing standpoint on how I can like kind of stand out or do something unique, that's just always kind of a little trick I can just pull out, and I've started to lean into it way more recently, but yeah, it's always something that helps, or just like certain stuff just sounds better in different languages, so
I personally think that it makes your music way more unique when it has the different languages, because it's just like, I mean, I had to look up what tranquila meant, but I totally I like the groove, So it's just, I mean, I think it really adds a different flair. So exactly when did you start going into music? So you probably already have done it in high school, or?
I would say so. I think who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and I was explaining this, but I think the first time for real, like I my parents played music growing up, like all the time, a wide range of different types of music and stuff. So I had a good introduction to it, but I think watching Hustle and Flow was the first time I was like, oh, this is dope. Like I wanna give this a shot. This looks like so much fun. You know, Anthony Anderson and Terrence Howard and DJ Qualls in there banging out "Whoop That Trick." I was just like, I gotta do it. So
You're like, this
yeah.
is me. I want
Yeah,
that. So.
basically, yeah. Not necessarily saying what they're saying, but yeah, but yeah, I loved. That was like one of the first movies I remember seeing that really like broke down the process and made it seem kind of real. It wasn't like, there's a lot of movies where you see people recording music, but it's like, oh man, I got this idea. Let me hop in here. All right, 5 seconds later, the whole song's done and it's a hit, and now we're touring. It was like, I feel like Hustle and Flow took it a little bit slower and kind of showed, the process of making a beat and all those types of things, and that really
the reality of the hard work and what has to go into it. Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, I remember after that, like, slowly like asking my mom, like, yo, can we go to McDonald's? Can I get some cup holders to put up on the wall in my closet? Because I thought that would, like, soundproof stuff.
Oh my gosh, don't you know it's the egg cartons? It's not the cup holders.
I know, I messed up. I was like,
you gotta rethink that.
Clearly was not watching closely enough. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, I did that, and I actually ended up failing a class in high school, and my mom, I had to take retake it in summer school. My mom was like, well, if you get an A in it, I'll buy you a mic. So then from there, like I got the A, and, just kind of went from there. So yeah, it was pretty much high school long.
Nice.
What would you think was the moment of like, okay, I love doing this, I can actually do something with this? Like, when was that moment, or was it just like gradual over time?
I think it was more, at first it was like, I want to try to do something with this because I just love doing this and I really don't want to do anything else. Mm-hmm. So I remember telling one of my best friends about it right before we graduated from high school, like, I think I'm gonna give this a shot. But in terms of like actually thinking I could do this was when I started doing shows, which was like, a few years later, after that. But yeah.
Did you get involved in a band to do shows, or was it your solo? Like, you solo?
It was my first ever show, like at my first ever time like performing in front of people was at Bartendoors on Taylor Street. And that was me and my best friend Antonio. So it was like, we were kind of working together as a duo. Well, we were working together as a duo at the time. I know now that he really was not trying to perform like that, but he just did it like, so I would feel more comfortable. But yeah, we did that. It was like 6 people. And then I did like another one later that year by myself. That was the first one by myself. And then, and then I took a break for a while, and I ended up meeting one of my best friends now, and the guy I probably collaborate the most with now, James Treichler, in Champaign when I was in college. And he and I started performing together. He's a drummer, and he's also my engineer. So he would play drums and like play my samples and stuff like that while I would perform. And and then slowly from there, he was kind of like the plug in Champaign, and he just connected me with all these different, like he brought in all the musicians, and we just kind of built the band up pretty slowly from there.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So what do you say, like, okay, I don't want to ask your age on the podcast, but you've been doing this for a while, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in those years, and like the biggest mistakes you've maybe made in that time?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem saying my age. I'm too young.
I'm still young.
I just like preschool to now. That was more.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying. No,
but
it's
he's
just
still
funny.
18. He's
no, right. right. Don't I look it? No, but no, it's funny because I keep seeing all these memes going around, like all these 90s babies like freaking out because we're all about to be 30 and all that stuff, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think in terms of some of the biggest mistakes, I don't know. I mean, I think I had just pretty common, like, I was naive in the way that a lot of people are when they're 18 and they're trying to do music and they're thinking like, oh man, all right, you know, especially back then, I was like, I'm gonna throw this mixtape I'm doing on Facebook and I'm gonna blow up. Somebody's gonna see it, and then all my friends are gonna love it, and they're gonna share it with everybody, and that's gonna, you know, result in a multi-million-dollar deal, and then I'll be good. You know,
Instant fame. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, it took me a long time to realize that like now it's called the music business for a reason, and like what that actually means, what that looks like. It took me a while to even I would say humble myself to be like, you know what, I don't I don't have a manager right now, so let me, well, at the time I didn't have a manager, and let me sit down and read this Donald Passman book, Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business, and like learn what the different types of royalties are, learn what, you know, standard record contracts look like, all that type of stuff, and all the things that maybe when I was younger, I was thinking, that's what, like, I'll get a manager and he or she will know that and they'll set it up for me and all that stuff. And just kind of like, I think learning accountability and just being like, hey, if you want this to happen, then you got to push for it. I think that was the first big lesson. And then there were a lot of other ones. I mean, time management, money management, managing personalities within a band, you know, like all those different types of things. But I think what it really came down to is that, yeah, it's a business and it's a job. And if you really want to get anywhere with it, you got to treat it as such.
I feel like that really works for any business, and especially creatives. Is one of the biggest mistakes I hear people say, myself included, is not thinking of it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see people that are successful and we see them have this team of people around them that make them be like do all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're starting out, when you're an entrepreneur, you really have to wear all the hats. You have to be all the people.
Yeah.
And that's really good that you learned that early. And also that knowledge will help you to make sure you don't get screwed over in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I always, you know, I tell like the people close to me all the time that like when I was, what we were talking about, when I was mimicking DJ from Hustle and Flow in my closet in high school, you know, I had this whole vision of like, oh man, I'm gonna get signed. Like I'm gonna be like Will Smith. I'm gonna get signed, like not rap like Will Smith, but you know, like the story.
Good.
He's dope. No, Will Smith is the man. We got the same birthday. That's my dude. But
What?
like, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's up, Will Smith?
Yeah, what up?
Shout out.
Exactly. But no, I just remember thinking like, man, I'm gonna get signed in high school. I'm gonna be the man. It's gonna be so cool, you know, whatever. But I am very appreciative for the fact that it has been more of a slow build, and that like I've gotten to put myself through like many different stages of artist development, learning the business, and then also just learning myself as a person, which helps inform the music better, you know, because then I think back to being in high school and thinking about stuff that I used to talk about, or like conversations that I used to have with people that I would work with about, you know, what should we talk about on this song? What should we talk about on that song? And now it's just so much more like, I don't really have to think about it because I just kind of know myself better. I know where my mind is gonna go, and I think that's important. You know, I think people talk about the lack of artist development a lot nowadays.
Yeah, so songwriting with that artist development, you know, obviously, you know, being a little bit older, and you're probably going to grow from there as well from here. But where do you think, like, if you know that you need to sit down, you need to write a song, where do you start? Like, what's your process in a sense?
Man, that's interesting. It changes. And one of the things that I've started to appreciate a lot more is like collaboration and kind of jumping on production from other people, because I definitely consider myself a producer first. I'm all about you know, I'm all about like melodies and rhythms and just because it's called music, it's not called lyrics, you know. So I'm always like, before I start a song, I may have an idea for a verse or a hook or whatever, but I need to have the production right before I can really get going on it. And I think, you know, with that being said, I actually recorded like something rough today for Augie. Yeah, Augie from Family of
Yeah,
Geniuses. Yeah,
for sure.
because he had been sending me stuff, and he sent me something this morning. I was like, oh man, this is dope, and it just like kind of just like came out. I dropped my
So he
girlfriend off
sent
at
you like
work.
one line, like he
Oh,
sends you
he
like a
sent me
little
a
bit of clip,
no, he sent me a beat. He sent me like a whole
a
beat,
beat.
and yeah,
Nice.
it was dope. And I was like, I was driving, and by the time I got back home, I had written like half the verse, so I just came here and just like recorded the rest of it. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, man, that's funny. I wish I could do that with my stuff, but like when I'm producing, it's so much slower than that. It's like, but it always starts with production. It's either it's either like a drum pattern or a bass, riff, or now I've started playing piano more, so like a chord progression, something like that. But it's always starts with the music for me.
So what instruments do you play? I hear a piano you just started, and then you have drums.
I mean, I wouldn't say I play drums. I know how to play like a few rhythms and stuff like that, but no, I mean, I started off like most hip hop producers, just like kind of programming software drums and sampling and stuff like that. I don't really sample anymore, but yeah, I'm really into piano right now. I picked up the bass for a little bit, but I wouldn't say I'm like super nice with that. I say I'm best at piano right now. And when I was a little kid, I played saxophone, but like I don't really do that much anymore. I would like to go back and pick it up, but I haven't circled back yet.
I tried saxophone in band, but all I wanted to learn was the Jurassic Park theme song. And once I taught myself that, I was like, I'm good. I don't want to play anymore.
It's like that sometimes.
It is. I mean, I think we mentioned this in another episode actually, where I played the trombone and I only did Jingle Bells. I learned how to play Jingle Bells, and I was like, I think I'm good.
Every year,
I'm good.
My moment.
Exactly. Yeah, you could play holiday concerts. That's all you need.
Just the one song though, and I can only do probably about the 3 notes in the beginning.
So real quick holiday concert. Yeah.
Just do that one part over and over again for 3 minutes, and then leave.
Right.
So where do you?
Well, that's really cool.
Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So you mean musically or just in
life, business, whatever you want to add in?
Sure. Yeah, musically I got a whole like blueprint of stuff that I got a bunch of playlists on Spotify. Like, I have one called Cuarenta because like it's just music that I want to make in my 40s, or like music that I want to like kind of be, emulating somewhat. So yeah, with that, I just want to continue to work in as many different kind of musical styles from like the different places and cultures in the world that I've made contact with, and like continue to kind of meld them together in my own way. I haven't, I think we were talking about Portuguese a little. Yeah, we were talking about Portuguese in the beginning.
How I can't pronounce Portuguese. Really.
You're killing it.
We were talking about it. I said it again.
Yeah, no, you got it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really dove into that yet in my music, like just those musical styles and rapping and singing more in Portuguese. I really want to do that. That's a goal for me. But as far as life, I have this I got this itch that I've had since I was a kid, to live overseas, to live outside the US. So that is high on my list right now. Right now Spain is super so it's a lot of Spanish speaking places, but Puerto Rico, Spain, Brazil, Mexico are kind of my big ones. I really want to spend time in. And so, yeah, so 5 years, hopefully I'm in Spain. I really would like to, I've been getting more into just, kind of, there's so many terms associated with it, but like sustainable food sources and things of that nature. And I got some friends that are really into that, in the permaculture and all that stuff. So I'd like to be way more educated in that and start to, implement that heavily in my life. And then also just, I'm a huge proponent, or a huge, I guess, advocate, you could say, for the fight against climate change, you know, or the I won't even say against it, because I mean it's happening, you know, but like the awareness of it and trying to protect the oceans, trying to protect the rainforest, all that good stuff. So you know, I'd like to have a platform that that could allow me to be, you know, much more influential in those areas, and kind of help, you know, help with
We should
those.
introduce him to Alice. My friend Alice was
Yeah.
on here. She has a sustainable travel business,
Oh yeah.
booking travel and stuff like that. And she does a lot with conservation and things like that. So
Yeah, she was the last episode on the previous season. So yeah,
Sounds
if you
awesome.
want to, it's really cool. She's done a lot for, she's traveled a lot, as well as trying to help with environmental studies and staying in environmentally friendly hotels and places. So
That's
it's
so
been
cool.
really cool. And I really do admire that,
Yeah,
that you're trying to do that, because I think it's something that, you know, obviously when you do have more influence, you feel like you can like help more, but having that goal to be somewhere in the future and like even do it personally, like you said that you wanted to, is like grow your own garden and like grow your own food in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Like that's a goal that we can all even establish here now. And
yeah.
then like, you know, hopefully it's like you learn as you go, but that's, yeah, admirable, really. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have to check out that episode for sure, and I'd love to talk to her. That's super dope.
Really
really
cool.
cool. It's cool that you have like such a different passion with the sustainability and wanting to live abroad. And then also the music stuff, which is usually, you know, you don't hear that from the same person.
Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, I don't know. I was talking to my girlfriend a few days ago, just about you know, she grew up traveling a lot as well. And we just both talked about how fortunate we are to have had those experiences at a really young age, to where it would help shape our personalities, you know, and like kind of plant a seed. And I've somebody that I've admired for the past few years, going back to Will Smith, is Jaden Smith, because he's very, very vocal about that stuff, about, you know, conservation and all those things. And I actually had an opportunity to see him speak in person I think it was like 2 years ago. I was doing some camera work for a friend of mine, and Jaden just popped up at the Boys and Girls Club and just like shocked the hell out of all the kids. It was hilarious. But yeah, and it was dope, and gave away like all these clothes and stuff. But one thing that he said, or one thing that he talked about that really stuck with me, was that his parents informed him at a super early age that like, you've been given so much, like you came here with so much, so you have an obligation to kind of pass that for pay it, you know, pay it forward, or however you want to say it. You know, you have an obligation to share that with others in whatever way, you know, you see fit. So I kind of have I took that with me since I saw that, and I was like, man, that's dope. That's super cool.
That's awesome. And he actually, yeah, I was just watching the documentary on Netflix. I think it's called it's a Blue World or something. I have to look up the exact thing, but it was talking about Jaden Smith and his new project for giving third world countries clean water. And
Yeah,
I think it's called the Blue Box or something. And they're going to install it in different countries and give people like clean and running water in
yeah,
like in different areas. And it's supposed to be really easy to bring to different places. Yeah, and so it's great that you just mentioned him, because he really is an advocate for
yeah.
so many things. And I think you're right, where he was born into like, you know, he had a lot given to
Mhm.
him and he really wants to give back. It's a beautiful. Yeah.
What
Absolutely.
advice would you have for somebody that maybe has this like passion for their career and this entrepreneurship, but then they also maybe want to do something good with the platform once they see it happening?
I would say just kind of, you know, don't wait until you're super duper successful to kind of start thinking about it. I would say try to get the plan, not get you don't have to have an entire plan written out, you know, when you're first starting, but at least think about like, man, what causes am I passionate about? What things like what things could I do even now with, we're talking about trying to grow our own food and that kind of thing. What like smaller steps can I take, so that by the time I do have the influence or the platform or whatever, I feel like I need to make that impact, that I'm already like, I'm already moving. I'm not, the treadmill's already going. I don't have to get in shape or, however, whatever analogy you want to use. But yeah, just kind of plant the seed early and start thinking about it, and start surrounding yourself with people who are also, if not just interested in it, more knowledgeable about those concepts than you are.
Great advice.
Yeah. Also, yeah, like I just said, having people surround you that are also passionate about the same things is really, really beneficial.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Cool. So where can everybody find you? All your music, everything that you do, your personal stuff?
So you can find me at Where Is Bardo on Instagram. I'm at Where's Bardo on Twitter, but I'm not really on there, so I wouldn't recommend looking for me there. Nah, Facebook.com/BardoAF. Bardo on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all the streaming platforms. My YouTube channel is AF Till Death, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, but I push most of my stuff out through Instagram. So I would say, check me out on Instagram at Where's Bardo, and where'sbardo.com too. I actually still have that website. So, and that'll I always forget about that, which is not good, nice. But that'll push you to all the different platforms.
Yeah. All the social media, it's hard to keep track.
We'll link all of this below the episode too, so that you guys can check it all out and, stalk them across the board. Well, thank you so much. This is super awesome. This was really inspirational. And if you guys are listening, be sure to give us 5 stars, leave us a review, all that good stuff, so we can keep bringing amazing entrepreneurs like Bardo to you guys. If you want to see the video, it'll be up on YouTube. So I'm one of your hosts, Monica Ortega.
And I'm Kristen Herman.
And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much, Bardo.
Thanks, Bardo.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been great.